Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Mitch here at Honda Land again. Just back with another video. We're going to be checking the valve lash on the Integra. The motor is showing signs of some valve train noise. I do believe it is due to the timing belt, the slack in it, because it's you can see the timing belt shifting as it's making the noise. So I think it's due to that. I'm going to take the valve cover off and check the lash real quick because it's a little easier than getting to the belt, and see if everything's good. Okay, so first we'll go over the tools that you'll need for the job. I've picked a 10mm socket, 3/8 ratchet, 1/2 inch ratchet with a 19 for the crank, 3/8 ratchet with a 3/8 spark plug socket for the spark plugs to make the motor easier to turn, and our feeler gauges to check our valve lash clearance. So next we will need to remove the spark plug wires, we then need to break loose all the 10mm bolts. I'm now going to run them all out with a gun. I've set all the bolts here on the core support. I'm now going to pull the valve cover off. It's going to take two hands because all the little washers on each stud are going to try to come off. One trick that I do is I take off the oil cap, and when I do that, I always set it right here on the latch. That way I don't forget to put it back on because the hood's not going to close. So now you stick your finger in the hole and it will come up. Again, it might pop, so I don't want to lose the washers. So as I said, it did pop, and I lost these two front washers. They fell down. I used the magnet. So let me take the cover off. And here we have the valve train. So next, I'm going to take out the spark plugs. I'm going to start by breaking each one loose. Then to save some time, I'll use the gun again. Here we have all 4 spark plugs. It does look like the motor is burning pretty evenly. Now I'm going to turn the crank until these cam gears say up. I have the 1/2 inch with a 19 on the crank down here to turn it right now. Now they say up, so we're going to make the 2 marks in the middle match. And now we're going to check the crank. So down here, we can see that the motor is on top dead center. Does not want to focus, but you can see the tick mark next to the tick mark. So they're relatively close, which is good, and that will show us that each camshaft is facing opposite of our lifters, or whatever you want to call them. So I'm gonna check all the clearances on all the valves and make sure none of them are loose. So since I set these when I install the engine, I'm going to be filling for slack. So we've checked cylinder 1. So now we can turn the motor. You will want to turn the cams 90 degrees, and then you can move to your next cylinder. The next cylinder in the firing order is cylinder 3. The noise was kind of coming from this top area. Trying to feel our LMA here. So we're on to the next cylinder. The next cylinder in the firing order is 4. Those have the same amount of slack. We'll check the LMA. It's not really an efficient way to check the LMA. On to the last cylinder. Cylinder 2. So everything seems fine inside the valve train. So I'm going to go ahead and throw back on the valve cover. Actually, I'm going to put in the spark plugs. Cylinder 1. Cylinder 2. Cylinder 3. Cylinder 4. Don't forget to remove your crank ratchet. Now we can put on a 10mm nuts to hold on the valve cover. I'm going to go ahead and throw in these real quick. Start with the shortest last with these wires. I can now use the gun to run them all back in. Well, that was it for the battery on the ratchet. I'm going to go ahead and put the oil cap back in, and then I'm going to tighten them all by hand. Now that all the bolts are tight and all the spark plug wires and spark plugs are back in, and I've removed the crank bolt, ratchet, and pulley, one way of knowing that all of your tools are back is just by putting them all back in a line like you had them. Make sure they're all back. Make sure you haven't left any on the car. Especially like this guy. Done it multiple times. Now we can see if she starts. Which there's no reason why it shouldn't. It
good start. We checked all the valves and everything. It's good, so it looks like it's going to be the timing belt tension. So hopefully you like the video. It's a really quick video on how to go over the valve lash. You can see some other videos on how to actually adjust the valve, but that's the correct order, and kind of just how to do everything else. But I just wanted to check myself if the car was good, make sure everything's tight. Doesn't hurt to go over everything on like the second oil change and make sure everything's back or the way it's supposed to be. You don't want anything to be loose or anything like that. So again, hopefully you like the video, and peace.